Greetings, my friend. Welcome to the very first audio experience of To Curate A Quest. I am Krista Vista, lead explorer and brand architect of this space. And if you have found your way here today, I want to take a moment to welcome you home. This space was built specifically as a sort of sanctuary. A sanctuary for the multi-passionate, multi-hyphenate, the multi-dimensional, the human beings who have spent their lives being told that they are simply too much, or that they are pulling themselves in far too many directions, okay? Or pulling themselves in far too many directions. So I want to be honest with you, and I want you to be honest as well about how many times in your adult life you've walked into a room, sat down at a dinner party, or joined a networking event only to be hit with that dreadfully predictable single-track question, so what do you do? And if you're anything like me, every time that question hits the table, your mind might go blank or your stomach tightens just a bit. But inside your mind, a dozen different answers are competing for space. You may want to say, well, I lead creative strategy, but I'm also studying human behavior. I manage real estate projects, but I'm deeply passionate about holistic wellness. I write essays, I build community programs, and honestly, this weekend I'm exploring local cuisine in New York City. Those might be the things running through my head. Yours may sound different. But society didn't train us to answer like that, Did it? No, society trained us to pick a single box, pick a title, put a straight jacket on your potential, trim off all of your beautiful wild edges, and compress your entire multi-layered soul onto a tidy one-page corporate resume. Most of us can't do that. We don't have an elevator pitch that will fully encompass all of who we are, right? So that's really what I want to explore more today. And when you can't fit into that corporate resume, when your mind naturally lights up across completely different fields, what happens? Creative scatter can set in. You start 3 different ideas at once. You spread your focus really razor thin. You get overwhelmed by decision paralysis, also known as analysis paralysis. And then you beat yourself up for a lack of discipline. I want you to hear me very clearly right now. We're going to take a deep breath together. All together on 3, in through your nose. 1, 2, 3. And out through your mouth. And let this land. You do not lack discipline. You do not have a focus problem. You are simply a multi-dimensional soul trying to fit into a single track world. That's why you clicked on this. And you were never meant to be squeezed into a single box. You were meant to build a portfolio. And over the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to dismantle the myth of the single niche, step completely off the hamster wheel of rigid time management, and map out what it actually means to design a portfolio life. Now, before we get into the frameworks, I want to take you back to a very specific season in my own journey, because I didn't learn these principles in a pristine tower or from reading a slick productivity book. I learned them on the front line. A few years ago, I found myself navigating a major life transition. I was going through a divorce, and my primary non-negotiable priority was creating real unshakable stability for myself and for my son. I took a public service position with the New York City subway system, working the overnight shifts in the booth. Now, at the exact same time, I had this absolute burning desire to go back to school. I knew I wanted to pursue my passion for psychology. I had my eyes set on Columbia University Teachers College, specifically their Spirit, Mind, and Body program. So on paper, those two worlds looked like oil and water. On one hand, I was stepping into a metal booth under the pavement of NYC at midnight. And on the other hand, I was dreaming of high-level academic theory in Ivy League classrooms. Initially, I didn't fully understand how those two things would fit together. And if you've ever thought about an overnight shift in public transit in New York, you probably haven't. But let me paint the picture for you. So sitting in the booth, say 3 or 4 a.m., you get a front row seat to an entire spectrum of human existence. So you may see other frontline workers like yourself coming off of double shifts, exhausted, giving you the head nod because they understand what you might be going through. They're glad that it's over and you have several hours left. You see people who've been out partying all night, barely able to stand, let alone navigate a turnstile. And don't be mistaken, people have killed themselves jumping over New York City turnstiles. Okay, it's very real. You see individuals navigating severe mental health struggles or homelessness, hell bent on avoiding shelters. I really don't blame them for that, but it creates a condition in the station environment. And most of them are just looking for a warm or cool place to be. And my favorite, the people that come down with the same old story, I lost my wallet. At least 100 times or more, I've heard this in a given year. And right alongside them, you meet people who genuinely need emergency assistance and are relying on your quick thinking to get them home safely or to the hospital or wherever it is that they really need to be. Now, being on duty in the stations, I'm not a clinical professional, but I do have clinical training. And I am also not a social worker while wearing that uniform. But my job has been public service, keeping order, enforcing transit rules, and maintaining safety. But my deep interest in human psychology completely changed how I showed up in the space, in the booth. Without realizing it at the time, I was becoming an absolute expert at reading subtle body language. I was learning to read facial micro expressions in high tension moments. I was mastering the art of de-escalating panic, making split-second safety decisions, and holding my own emotional boundaries solid while chaos swirled on the other side of that glass. And then there were the mornings around 5:30 or so. The early morning commuters, they start trickling in. And the trains are still running at about 10 to 15 minutes apart. It's not quite rush hour, but without fail, almost every single morning, someone comes sprinting down the concrete stairs. Realizing that their Metro card was completely empty, it's called the Omni card now. And they come pounding on the booth. They demand, sometimes aggressively, that I let them through the gate for free because their train was pulling up right then and there. They want me to make their lack of advanced planning my instant emergency. And as the train doors close and they pull away, they throw their hands up in agony. Wait, that's my train. So my coworkers and I have a cute little saying that we share when we all know this scenario. And we say, honey, if it was your train, it would have waited for you. I used to sit in the booth during the quiet lulls between 3 and 5 a.m., holding my coffee, watching the tracks, strategizing how I was going to get to Columbia with my journals and goal setting notes and all of the things that help keep me motivated and visualizing my next step. And one night, while doing this, that same joke hit me with a wave of profound clarity. I realized I spent years of my life sprinting after metaphorical trains, panicking because I thought an opportunity was leaving without me, trying to force my energy into career tracks I hadn't actually prepared or equipped myself for in that particular season of my life. And more than that, I realized something life changing about my work in the booth. The subway booth was not stealing time from my future, it was my real world field laboratory. When I eventually applied to Columbia, got accepted, and later stepped into a fellowship as a peer counselor at a nonprofit, every single night I spent in the booth came with me. Columbia gave me the theoretical framework, but that transit booth gave me the visceral human proof. My public service role, my Ivy League education, and my counseling work were never competing tracks pulling my life apart. They were and still are cross pollinating. So, what I'd like to communicate to you is that if any of this resonates, your pursuits are never competing for your time when they are informing each other through your unique lived experience. So, let's break this down a little bit more. The realization is the foundation of what we explore here at To Curate A Quest. okay, is understanding how all of your interconnected endeavors frame the portfolio life that you lead now. And you just may need a little organization to get that all flushed out. So let's look at the history of modern career theory. The term portfolio career was originally coined in the 1980s by a British management theorist named Charles Handy. Handy noticed that the traditional model of working for a single corporation for 40 years and receiving a gold watch at the end was beginning to crumble. He predicted that workers would increasingly manage a portfolio of different freelance client relationships and revenue streams. Does this sound familiar? It kind of sounds like the gig economy that we're leading in many ways today. And while Handy's economic breakdown was ahead of its time, it didn't go far enough because it kept the focus entirely on work and money. But what I am striving to do is go a little bit deeper and think about the connectedness of all the aspects of your life. Here, we do not just talk about a portfolio career, we talk about a portfolio life. A portfolio life honors the fact that you are not a corporate algorithm designed for output. You are an integrated human being with a spirit, a mind, and a body. Let's look at this through a spiritual and psychological lens. When you were designed by the creator, whoever that is for you, or whatever energy source has now landed you here on this planet, you were not given a single flat dimension. You were endowed with dynamic curiosity, varied talents, distinct seasons of endurance, and a rich array of lived experiences. If you try to bury three-quarters of who you are, ignoring your creative sparks, silencing your intellectual curiosity, and pretending you only care about your 9 to 5 job title just to make other people comfortable, that is a form of spiritual constriction. Which brings me to this belief I've developed, which is a specific question. Why niche when you can have quiche? So let's think about what a quiche actually is. A quiche isn't just one plain ingredient sitting in a pan. It's a rich, delicious, intentional blend of eggs, cream, herbs, vegetables, and cheeses. I don't know if that sounds delicious to you, but it sounds fantastic to me. Each individual ingredient retains its distinct flavor, but when they are baked together in the right crust, they create something far more nourishing and complex than any single ingredient could ever be on its own. Now, that doesn't have to sound appetizing to you, but I think you catch what I'm putting down, okay? What I'm throwing at you. I hope you catch what I'm throwing at you. These ingredients together is how I'm describing what it is that is your portfolio life, the richness of each of the entities. And you can can substitute any of those ingredients for any vegan, uh, carnivore, or anything else it is that you like that you want to put together to make your casserole or any shepherd's pie or one pot wonder dish that's going to make this come to life for you. Okay, your life is the quiche. Your corporate experience is an ingredient. Your artistic projects are an ingredient. Your public service, your global travels, your academic research, your healing journeys, your family life. These are not random, chaotic distractions. They are the exact flavors that make up your unique recipe in this world. You do not need to chop up who you are or throw away your past. Any of your experiences and you can take everything to build a meaningful, highly authoritative life. You just need to learn how to curate the recipe. So how exactly is this done without collapsing into exhaustion? Because you may be thinking, I do so much, I can't possibly fit it in. Well, see, that's the key. You can do all things, but you may not be able to do all of them at the same time. The key is stacking them in the order where they're each overlapping in the most integrated way. So, for instance, I share a commonality. Each of the things that I'm working on share a commonality. The work that I was doing in school informed my peer counseling role, and my peer counseling role is more informed by what I'm doing in public service than even my clinical training is, because the clinical training is theory. But when I source actual experiences I've been in, those experiences on the job have actually helped me with working with people even more than I actually anticipated. So I say all this to say, um, that you can stack it in a coordinated way. And then in another season, you may do another two or three things simultaneously. It's all about how you curate it. Okay. The secret lies in one foundational rule: we do not manage time, we navigate energy. So when multi passionate adults start feeling scattered, the default habit is almost always the same: to go download a new calendar app, buy a fancy color coded planner, or build a rigid time blocking routine. We tell ourselves, okay, if I just schedule my life from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. in 15-minute blocks, I can fit my job, my side business, my workout, my reading, and my family time. And then within a couple of weeks, life happens. The schedule breaks, we get depleted, and we assume we failed. So here's the truth that I learned in the booth, and I carry this with me every day. You can't time block your way out of an energy leak. Time is linear. There are always 24 hours in a day, but human energy is so dynamic. So if you spend 2 hours on an activity that aligns with your intrinsic curiosity, feeds your creativity, and honors your values, you will walk away from those 2 hours feeling inspired, buzzing even, and completely energized. Conversely, if you spend just 30 minutes on a task that conflicts with your core values, or a project you are dragging along purely out of obligation and guilt, those 30 minutes will destroy your energy for the entire afternoon. To transition from creative scatter to a grounded portfolio life, you have to audit your commitments using three distinct energy buckets. So, the number one energy bucket is high generation pursuits, which I call the spark. These are the pursuits that leave you feeling more alive after you engage with them. They feed your curiosity and creativity. For me, connecting real world human behavior in the subway booth to psychological research at Columbia was a massive energy generator. So sitting in the classroom, or just conceptualizing myself sitting in the classroom and learning, that was my spark. Okay. Now, bucket number two: high value anchors, which is the foundation. These are the commitments that ground your life. They fulfill your real world responsibilities, provide security, and anchor your contribution. So, my public service job was a vital energy anchor. It provided the financial stability and security my son and I needed while I built my next chapter. So, never discount the power of an anchor, even if it's not something that you really want to be doing, particularly a job or 9 to 5. That's what that is for most people. But if you have more benefits than detractors, or it's actually helping your spark, if it's inspiring your spark and you're able to move forward with your spark, it may be the anchor that you need. It is that second bucket. And then there's bucket number three: energy leaks, the drain. These are the tasks, projects, or self imposed expectations you carry purely out of guilt, habit, or trying to rush a process that isn't ready yet. They don't serve your vision, they don't feed your spirit, and they consume the precious life force you need for your anchors and your sparks. Okay, so when you spot an energy leak in your week, I want to give you a tool that changed my entire life. I call it the power of the shelf. Some of these leaks are things that you may actually want to work on. They may actually be the things that you're inspired to do, but it's not the right time, and it seems to be draining you because you're not able to move forward. The energy leak could be anything. It could be that person that you feel obligated to talk to that is really not providing much value in your life. They need to be put on a shelf, or maybe sometimes wiped out all completely. And I mean wiped out in a very non-violent kind of way, but just essentially removed from your space. So let's say you want to keep them around, or this item around. This is the power of the shelf. Okay. Um, Having a multi passionate mind does not mean you're required to execute every single brilliant idea on a Tuesday afternoon. That isn't freedom, that is chaos. It also doesn't require you to speak to every friend you've ever known on a regular, consistent basis. Sometimes you need that space, sometimes you need that clarity, and you just need to put that person, that thing, that idea on the shelf. And when you realize an idea or project or person doesn't fit your current season, you don't have to throw it in the trash. You don't have to announce that you're quitting. You simply take that idea, place it gently on the shelf, and say, I see you, you are brilliant, but you belong to a different season. Sit right there on the shelf until I come back for you. Placing an idea on the shelf is not quitting, it is an intentional wayfinding. When you give yourself permission to pause what is draining you, you instantly free up the focus, space, and spiritual energy required to tend the specific fire that you are called to build right now in this moment. So, my friend, as we bring this inaugural audio quest to a close, I want to take a step back and I want you to look at your life through a fresh lens. If you're sprinting down the concrete stairs after metaphorical trains that were never built for you, just imagine yourself letting go, letting other people's urgency become your eternal emergency that has to go. And above all, stop apologizing for the rich, layered, non-linear path that brought you to this exact moment. Your past is not wasted time. Your very interests are not a flaw in your design. They are the signature palette of your portfolio. And I just encourage you that if this message resonated at all with your spirit, sparked something in your mind, I want to invite you to pull up a chair and walk this journey with us. Head over to Kurate A Quest on Substack. The link is waiting for you in the description box wherever you may be listening to this. And subscribe to our growing community of multi-passionates, multi-hyphenates, and explorers, where we break down life design frameworks, energy audit strategies, and navigational essays. And if you're listening on YouTube or your favorite podcast, please leave a comment. I would love to know, what is the one creative pursuit or commitment that you are giving yourself permission to place on the shelf for this season? I really want to start this conversation. I'm hoping that the people that this is meant to resonate with will, that this reaches you, that this touches you and inspires you. And please don't be shy. Please respond to the question. And if you can't do that, just give me a thumbs up, a heart, or whatever the emoji is that just lets me know that I'm on the right track in reaching you and how it is that I can be a spark for you. Okay, so I am Krista Vista, and until we meet on the next quest, remember to enrich your life as you enjoy the view. Thanks for listening.